Right then, let's begin. Welcome to this, the season finale of Project Ameliorate Season 2, hosted here by Racing Pals. By this point in time, you should be very much familiar with what Project Ameliorate is, but if you're joining us for the first time, it is or has been for the last two main open wheel series that we have run, the last 11 races and the final race today, our premier open wheel racing league, which involves the unique aspect of teams being able to upgrade their cars week by week to culminate in what we are going to see here today out on this Suzuka circuit racetrack. As again, as you're probably also familiar with, as you can see on screen, is the Suzuka track map. A very, very classic circuit deep in the heart of Japan, one of the most famous circuits that's hosted all sorts of racing, as Jake, I think, just crashed under the bridge. So we missed the actual crash. Let's see who else is on track before one of the HCR cars has crashed, and Thomas Jack has also crashed. Can we find... Charlie's in the... Can we actually find... There we go. Robin Moe or Daniel Scott. One of the two Spinardi boys maybe won't crash on us. Suzuka, though, a very famous circuit, hosted multiple different racing series from, I think, back in the day at least. I don't think they do anymore, but they've hosted WEC, they've hosted Formula 1 quite famously, and obviously the myriad of great Japanese racing series that also exist. Let's then, as we are now into the final 10 minutes of our final practice session for Season 2, and our final practice session for what has been our two-season beta series run of this particular race series. Let's have a look at our drivers' standings going into this, the final race. Robin Moe leads. This is by drop week inclusion, so each driver has a drop week in hand. That is a race for which they can not turn up and not lose the points thereof. Robin Moe has 140 points currently to his name without that drop week, so leads the championship. Daniel Scott, his teammate, is second with 134. However, I have no Daniel Scott without his drop week inclusion, as he has not missed a week, has a total of 147 points, which is where we have to do some mathematics and get a little bit confused. Darkiest then is third, followed by Ivan Baratz and Crime. M1 LDT comes sixth for Team Spectre. Sylvan Hubble, Mats Lindemanson, Thomas Jack and Jacob the Snack round out your top 10. There's quite a few pockets of competition going on, as you can see throughout the grid. There is a little battle going on for probably P7, if not P6, if Sylvan can do something about it, maybe even P5. Meanwhile, down in 13th place and 14th, Gons and Kai Sforza both sit on 66 points. Although I do not believe either of those drivers will be with us today, so maybe Aaron Rains or possibly Husky, if he is with us, can do something to jump on. But the big fight, as I say, is at the top of the grid, so let me just have a look at the mathematics side of things. So, to win this race today, Robin Moe naturally just needs to outscore everyone else, and he will come home with the trophy. However, if Daniel Scott can outscore him by 7 points, Daniel Scott will take the championship proper and take the lead of this season. Meanwhile, Darkius would need 25 points to take P1 in the championship, and Ivan Baratz would need 36, meaning that Ivan would have to finish second and Robin Moe would have to DNF in order for Ivan to win. So the main fight as it stands will be between the two Spinardi teammates of Daniel Scott and Robin Moe. And after the race I will try and do some quick maths to work out who exactly has won. Let's have a quick glance then at the Teams Championship. No drop week involved in the Teams Championship, as all teams can get reserve drivers in, and if they cannot make it, are expected to get a reserve driver in. Spinardi lead the championship with 318 points total, followed by the Indian bus drivers who did not appear at the last race 2 weeks ago, actually, not just, no, sorry, 3 weeks ago due to the Labor Day break. And unfortunately that seems to have scuppered their championship hopes for this season. But if Spinardi have a catastrophic race, they could perhaps hope above hopes to claw back something of a P1. Team Spectre then sitting quite comfortably between Indian bus drivers and Small PP in third place. I do not see much unseating them. Small PP meanwhile under threat by only 5 points to the Spinning Baguettes with their 205 to the former Helios Community Racing Team's 200. Peace T Racing down in 6th with 184 points. Again, also potentially under threat from the teams behind them. Lada Martini 176. Only 8 points between them if they are here to compete. Sinium's Racing down in 8th, followed by, I don't know why Lada Martini was first, something's gone wrong here. Let me consult my... Sorry, that 9th place is not Lada Martini, it's meant to be the Leftovers. I don't know why I've left it as that, but the Leftovers team of Aaron Rains and Nicholas Chin should be in 9th with 140 points. QB then 102 points down in 10th, Veloster Racing in 11th with 81, and Full Steam Racing, who have seemingly retired from this series a few races ago due to a inconsistent driver lineup due to the absence of one of their main drivers and the inconsistency of his replacements, with only 39 points down in 12th. 3 minutes to go then in this practice session, or 2 minutes 24 to be exact. We see then what our drivers have been doing for the past hour as they get ready for this race. There are more drivers, I think, in this race than appear on the timing tower. 13 have set times in this current practice session. Thomas Jack currently leads with 1 minute 48 seconds 3 hundredths, or 3/10 even. Followed very closely by Robin Moe. Oh, sorry, not as closely as I thought it was. Sorry. Robin Moe, 1:49.803, 1.5 seconds off of the Small PP practice leader. You will also notice when the LOD decides to go closer to the Spinardi car, because Robin Moe did not realise how LOD works in Assetto Corsa. There are fans still on the back of the Spinardi car. You may remember that the Spinardi and the Lada Martini cars had fans in Autopolis 3 weeks ago. They have been removed, as the real fans once were in Formula 1. In a very similar fashion, they were found to be a little bit too powerful, and the Spinardi team, who had invented them, agreed that they should be removed with the race directors. And whilst they will not get the benefits of the fan-induced downforce that they had at Autopolis, which allowed them a very commanding P2, whilst the Lada Martini cars had a commanding P1 due to having a stronger version of the fan car mod, as we see all the 2D people looking in the wrong direction. The fans still remain on the model of the car as a nice little lingering note of what they once were. Then P3 then, the Small PP car driven by Crime, who was formerly of the Indian bus drivers, or still technically of the Indian bus drivers, has taken the place of the absent Sench, and is driving therefore Sench's car to help Thomas Jack in his fight against the Spinning Baguettes for the constructors' standings. This does mean, however, that I believe Spinardi have, unless something catastrophic happens to the pair of them, won this Constructors' Championship, as the Indian bus drivers are not on the field at the moment, with one of them driving a different car entirely. Crime, however, not able to quite match with his inexperience in the same car. Thomas Jack's current lap time having only done a 150.684, over 2 seconds off of the current practice leader. M1LDT, meanwhile, Team Spectre driver, last season's runner-up, this season running a little bit further down the order, a 150.8 from the Spectre car. Meanwhile, his teammate Darkins, as can be seen here, a 54.7, certainly some more time to be found for the French driver. However, with Ivan Baratz, unless he is driving but is has currently not set a lap time in this practice session, if Ivan Baratz is racing, he'll still have a hope to maintain his P4 in the standings, but if he is not, then Crime will almost certainly jump his main teammate, even if not teammate for this race, to take P4 for himself. As I have a look at the standings, Ivan Baratz currently 105 points in P4. And meanwhile, M1LDT certainly is also fighting Crime, and will also potentially take that P4 for him if he can beat Crime in this race. As we now head through to our qualifying after our pre-qualifying wait timer. I'm going to quickly load up the Racing Pals Server Manager live timings page, which was updated in the middle of this season to give me a very nice delta of every driver currently on track, which means that I can actually have a look and see who is doing good laps for once in a qualifying session and see who wants to be watched. We do strive to minimize the limitations of Assetto Corsa streaming whenever we can, especially compared to the amazing functionality of its successor in Assetto Corsa Competizione, or at least the functionality provided by the race control system in that particular simulation. As we await the qualifying session to start, I do want to have a look at who is actually driving. There are 14, I think, drivers on the grid today for this last race. That's a natural drop off as we do come to the end of the season. I'll quickly run through drivers as some go out. It's going to be Thomas Jack out first to start his out lap, but the drivers we have with us today are Tom for Small PP, Robin Moe, Crime, M1LDT, Daniel Scott, Darkius, Jacob the Snack, Deep Cuts, Sylvan Hubble, Nathaniel Foltz Rochelau, Benjamin Walrack, Charlie, Aaron Rains, and Nick Chin. I almost read my own name out as I am on the entry list for the spectator car. Okay, I avoided it at the last minute. But we see 12, no, make that 11 cars have just come out of the pit lane. I think one might have an instant and gone back to pits, and we'll just, there we are, Robin Moe had some sort of incident and left the pit lane, and returned, sorry, to the pit lane, has left the pit lane again to start another outlap. As per the rules, drivers are allowed to use the content manager provided custom shaders patch back to pits button during a practice or a qualifying session, especially as the qualifying session is only 10 minutes long. During the race, they are only allowed to use said button if they are returning to the pit lane due to not being able to access the escape menu, which in Assetto Corsa can occur if you're stuck in a collision or physics object or falling through the world. But otherwise, if they press that button, they'll be subject to harsh penalty in the race. But for practice and qualifying, like I say, they are allowed to do so. I've also turned the option on for this race to give some sort of marbles and tyre debris on the track, and I'm hoping that'll look quite nice. I think I've seen a little bit of it already, as Thomas Jack sets a 1:56 on an outlap. It was a clean outlap, but here he goes for an actual flying lap. Let's have a look at a lap, if I can get the camera pointing in the right direction, of Suzuka. Now, of course, you probably very much know this. He comes through, or has come through the first turn, now up to the S curves, which are turns 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. A very tricky series of corners that require maximising your throttle and speed. Comes through turn 7, now up to the Dunlop curve. The long left-hander that takes you into a very fast Degner 1, followed by a slightly less fast Degner 2. And under the bridge of this figure 8 circuit, which crosses over on itself very neatly, and up to the hairpin of turn 11. Now down to a corner which is very wide and very running, but I think it has got a name somewhere, but I can't remember for the life of me what it is. Most track maps I've seen don't show it, but I'm sure I've seen one at some point. Now he comes into turn 13 and 14. The spoon curve section requires maximal exit to get a good run down this, the back stretch, with the other pit lane that allows, I think, the east circuit or the west circuit of this track to run. But up to 130R, which is flat for Thomas Jack. This shows you how far these cars have come. The Casio Triangle now a hard braking zone into a chicane, followed by the final turn. Again, getting a good exit. Not as concerning as the exit of Spoon, but a difficult one nonetheless, and that gives Thomas Jack a 1:48.777. That's the jackpot, I believe, on a slot machine. And for now, he has hit the jackpot here as he goes fastest and takes the current provisional pole. Let's have a look who's doing what behind. Daniel Scott only managed to do a 1:52.5 on his first flying lap. He will take another lap now. But he's just under 4 seconds off of Thomas Jack. Certainly going to be wanting to make up that place, especially as he is the main contender in fight for the championship. But Robin Moe, meanwhile, having done a second outlap and a flying lap, only a 2:54.8 for the German driver. But look at what he's doing now as he himself comes through first. No, sorry, he comes up to the last turn now. Maybe he did do better, and he did. Yes, it's a 1:50.564 for Robin Moe. I miscounted when exactly he started his second flying lap. And that's P2, but still, again, 2 seconds back from Thomas Jack in P1. So the question is, what can this man do? Mr. Crime himself, the Indian bus driver's replacement driver, the small PP replacement driver, the Indian bus driver's regular. He gets very squirrely, a little bit into the gravel on the exit of Degner 1, compromising his entry into Degner 2. Come up to the hairpin and try and improve, but at the moment his delta is showing 0:00, which I think means, yes, his sector run was, I think, invalid. Who is up on their delta at the moment? One person is Darkius, currently 2.5 seconds up. What's it going to be as he comes through the final turn to cross the line? It is a 1:52.097. That puts Darkius up to P4 as M1LDT, his teammate, just crosses the line to take a 51.190, bumping his teammate to 5th, splitting up the two Spinardi cars in now 2nd and 4th place for Daniel Scott. Meanwhile, Charlie is having a very nice lap with a delta of +40, but seeing as he is currently only doing a 2:40, that is not going to put him too much up the order. Let's have a look what he does. He picks one more place, but gets into the sub 2-minute lap times at the very least. But it's only a 1:58.275 for Charlie. Jacob the Snack, meanwhile, yet to set a proper lap time. Again, only having done a 3 minutes 3 seconds. A little lock up there into the Casio Triangle. You see his teammate coming through right behind him. He is up on his time some way. It is a 1:51.8. 1:51.8 for the Hoosier driver. And that takes him up to P4. Once again bumping Darkius and Daniel Scott down just as Milt did before him, as he locks up into, I think, the entry of the second part of the first turn. And almost, I think he just avoids hitting the barrier so he can continue nice and cleanly on his lap. M1LDT, meanwhile, just had a collision pop up on the server manager. I'm not sure what happened there, but he looks like he was not going particularly fast. Up to 130R, so something has happened to him. So will the damage be okay for another lap, or is he going to peel into the pit lane? Again, he can use back to pits button, but I don't think he will. He's going to keep going. Oh, big slide, almost hitting into the pit entry barrier. Let's have a look again at the top of the grid. Thomas Jack currently 0.14 seconds up on his delta, although he's lost quite a bit of it. But to have regained it on the exit of the hairpin. Can Thomas Jack improve on his current fastest lap time, as Crime, his temporary teammate, has gone faster and has taken that P2 position that he will so want. No one else at the moment particularly up on their lap times. Daniel Scott flittering by about a tenth either way, but other than that, Daniel Scott having only just rounded Dunlop, as you can see in the map in the bottom right hand corner, which I'm actually going to rotate. Give me a second, because that's a bit of a weird position. Let's rotate. Nicer use of space. But Thomas Jack did not improve on his lap time in the end, a 1:48.611, and he will come to the pit lane not to set another lap. One driver up on his time at the moment is Sylvain Hubble, the French driver in the Spinning Baguettes car. A name which has borne true some occasions during this season. But for the most part, the team in Season 1, called the Helios Community Racing, rebranded for Season 2, has been a pretty solid and constant addition to this grid. And certainly that can be borne out in their current 5th place position in this championship. Sylvain is up by 6/8 tenths now on this current lap as he comes into Spoon. Maximise his exit. He does so. He's up a second now on his lap time. 1.04. Make that 0.7. Now 130R. Is it flat? I think that is flat. The fluttering of the engine at high revs. Into Casio. Get a good exit once again for the next long straight. The line comes up pretty early though. And Sylvain Hubble, a 156, does improve with a 155.2, but that is not enough to get him any additional places. Still 3 seconds, back off of Darkius. And a good 4 to 5 seconds off of most of the grid. Charlie, meanwhile, down at the entry to Degner 1, just sitting off the track. Maybe he's gone to sleep. He's having a little nap. Deep cuts, however, going very slowly. I think that's an aborted lap from him. I mean, he has only just come out of the S's. But it does look like he has decided that this lap is not it. And thus he shall finish in P8. Oh, Charlie moves. I thought Charlie might have been doing a James Hunt. The old story about how he fell asleep at Paul Ricard and the engineers thought he might have had a big crash and wondered what was wrong with him, but he just pulled the car over and had a nap. Okay, so I think that is qualifying over, and yes, it is. I wasn't sure if it was actually going to wait until they came back, but let's have a run through then of your current grid. It's Thomas Jack in P1, having done an extraordinary lap of 148.6, followed closely by the small PP replacement driver Crime, despite being less used to the car, takes second place with a 150.557. A mere 7,000 behind Crime is Robin Moe for the Spinardi team with a 150.564. M1 LDT then a good 5/6 tenths back with a 151.190. Daniel Scott not able to match his teammate at the moment, a second back off of his teammate Robin Moe with a 151.5. Then it is Darkius, then Jaker the Sneck, Deep Cuts, Sylvan Hubble, Benjamin Walrack, Charlie, Aaron Rains and Nick Chin, your top 13 who have set lap times, and Nathaniel Foltz, Rochelau, the second Velociter driver, teammate to Charlie in 11th, takes 14th place, having opted not to set a lap time during this session. As we wait for the qualifying to officially end, there it goes. The screen lights up for a second, and then the auto start systems kicks in, and we see our grid formed up, ready to go in a minute's time. Make sure my camera's actually, let's go. I want to get a rear camera once again. And we can once again have fun with the F6 cams, which are all weird. This is an F6 cam. That's a normal F6. That's a alright F6 cam. Good F6. Really, really weird F6 cam. And that's the one I wanted. See, Robin Moe right behind Thomas Jack. Behind Crime is M1 LDT. But the lights are ready to go. You can hear the engine spooling up, electric and combustion. And for one last time in Project A this season, it is 6 lights and they are off. And Thomas Jack gets away really well, but Crime also managed to use that electric engine he is so unfamiliar with to get a good start. But the fight is down here as Team Spectre really pressuring now Robin Moe, trying to take that place from him. Robin's going to try and hang it around the outside of first turn. Crime has fallen back a little bit out of first turn, and Robin is now right on his tail. This could lead to some conflict. But still, M1LT is right. Robin pushes up on the inside of Crime into Dunlop. Oh, there's contact, and both are spinning off in the gravel, and the Team Spectre cars have joined them. That is a big upset. Where is Daniel Scott? Daniel Scott should be massively benefiting from this, and I think he will. But he had his own issues, it seems, as my voice cracks in excitement. He has had his own issues and has not benefited as much as he would like from the misfortune of his teammate and championship leader. So it gets very wide outside the exit of Degner 2, and that allows Crime to make up another place into the hairpin. Will he hold on to it? No, Crime goes very wide. The weight of that electric engine that he is so, again, not used to. The electric engines, if you're not familiar with this series, have a lot of power and torque, but they have a very high weight, which has caused massive issues for some teams. A little bit of wheel banging between Daniel Scott and Aaron Rains in the leftovers car there. But Daniel now ahead of his teammate. Robin Moe has disconnected. Robin Moe has a D next to his name, which means Robin Moe is disconnected, which means Daniel Scott may very well be, after that major crash at the beginning of this race, Robin Moe might have retired the car. And Daniel Scott will be the race winner. Thing to remember is that was a hefty crash if Robin Moe could not. You see M1LET taking his place back. Once again now up to 5th place. Nathaniel Foss-Rocheleau having nothing to play with. Charlie and Nathaniel Foss-Rocheleau having kept out of the early race shenanigans, as M1LET lost quite a bit on the straight there compared to the electric powered engines. But as I was saying, Robin Moe, if he had major damage on that car, then I do not think, if he couldn't feel comfortable driving it back to the pit lane safely, he may have opted to retire the car, because if he did return to the pits using the button, well, he would have got a tow, I guess, which would have been a possibility. He might have felt that it would have lost him the race and the championship anyway. He may have decided to retire the car. Prime still struggling, however, with his current new engine in that car that he's not used to. Again, the weight versus power is completely different in electric cars than it is to his regular combustion V8, which the Indy Bus Drivers has run for 2 seasons now. And he has currently found himself down in 9th place. M1LET, meanwhile, like I said earlier, absolutely loving this, as M1LET sits 6th in the Drivers' Championship, behind Prime and behind Ivan Baratz. As things stand, I think M1LET will jump Prime. We'll have to see after the race when I can perform some quick calculations. But Prime certainly not having the best time of it, and M1LET poised to perhaps take advantage of his misfortune. But Prime is fighting back and has gone past Darkius, teammate of M1LET, and is now on the rear of the Dutch driver, albeit 1 second back, but down this long straight, the electric engine's going to make that 1 second into nothing in no time. Put out a tentative request to Robin Moe to understand why he has disconnected. But that is going to play right in the hands of Daniel Scott. However, Daniel maybe needs to keep himself clean in this race as it is. Robin Moe had suspension problems and decided to retire the car after that major crash at the start, which sent both him and Prime spinning into the outside of the Dunlop curve. And following these two, followed in to create quite a lot of confusion at the beginning of this race, as we now still have Charlie and Nathaniel Foss-Rocheleau running, I think, better than they have done in some time. The Velociter racing cars. Or does it get... As I say that, Charlie facing the wrong way after 130R, and Crime is going to come in. He's trying to spin that car around. He manages to get it pointing in the right direction. No, he doesn't. He is struggling to get that car going once again the way it's meant to be. There you go. Get some... He's obviously panicking and rushing, trying to get the throttle on as quickly as he can. But slow and steady wins the race, especially with the amount of torque that the electric engine has, as Darkius and Milt now fighting teammates, fighting for position, but Darkius goes wide at first turn. He's forced to drop back a little bit. M1OT also then on the rear of Nathaniel Foltz Rochelau. Charlie, after his moment, is now properly down to 11th place as M1LDT goes off into middle of the Degners, but Charlie does too. Charlie is now, sorry, not Charlie, so Nathaniel Foltz Rochelau down to 8th place. Daniel Scott gets through as well, but Darkius ahead of his teammate M1LDT. And that's a big deal as Darkius again is fighting for championship positions now. Like I said, 25 points needed from Darkius to win this race. Oh, sorry, to win this championship. Obviously over Robin Moe. Robin Moe now having disconnected. That gives Darkius, whilst Daniel Scott may almost certainly be in with a shoe-in for championship winner, Darkius has a good chance at P2 in the championship as well. So as unfortunate it is with Robin Moe out of the race, it makes a little bit of these calculations that little bit more easy. And that means Darkius, with those 25 points required, needs 8th place only. He needs 8th or higher to get that 2nd place in the championship for certain. And obviously if Daniel Scott has any major issues causing a retirement, he may even get that P1 yet. In fact, I think Daniel Scott could finish 14th or 15th and would still lose this championship. But at the moment, Daniel Scott running P7 certainly is going to win it. Meanwhile, M1LDT still trying to fight for P5 against his teammate. The order having started to balance out a little bit, but those people who are stepped down, let's have a look then. Crime, the inside of 130R is a bold place to do it, especially with the way that engine. I think he might force Jacob a little bit wide there, but he takes the place P3 for now. The Peace Team racing cars certainly having benefited, much like the Velocitas early on from the start, and the incident between the Spectre and Crime and Robin Moe. It allowed Peace Team Racing to have gained a temporary 2-3 running order, but now that's a 2-4 running order as Crime now on the tail of Jacob the Snack. Meanwhile, down in P10, Daniel Scott has had an instance somewhere along the way. He was P7, now down to P10. As Husky says in chat, this is a very fun hot lapping session for Tom. It shouldn't have been, but it seems to have become so after those early race incidents. I think the people who were the best placed to challenge him have all been set back quite some way. So Tom now 30 seconds in front of the field in P1. Daniel Scott looking to make a move on Charlie through the S section into Dunlop. He gets the move done, but again we'll have to stay with it and see, because the power of the electric engine will come into play for Nathaniel at some point. Up to the hairpin, turn 11. We'll have to see, can Nathaniel, after the hairpin, use the long straights and the power of the Velocita racing car to take back that P9 from Daniel Scott in the Spinardi car. I think he's about to do it already. Certainly has done. Into Spoon. Daniel's going to have to try and get some good exits around here to maintain pressure up until he can get to the S's once again. You can see the slowdown that the Velocita car has to do relative to the Spinardi. Once again, long straights are where the electric engines come to life. Fat Nathaniel gaining, I think, on Benjamin Walrack ahead, and Sylvain Hubble ahead of him. As Nathaniel goes wide, he cuts the chicane. I'm not sure, he may have to give some more of that time back, otherwise Daniel could protest this post-race, because he has gained quite a lot on Daniel Scott through that and has even made the overtake on Benjamin Walrack. But Ben is going to have the advantage once again through the S section, much as Daniel did last time round. It's currently where much of a fight is. However, I have missed Jacob the Snack down to 6th now. Darkest and M1 LTT through P4, P5. I'm going to do some very quick maths whilst I can. Daniel Scott still running that P10, which will give him a 21 points after this finish. If things were to finish the way they are, Darkies will still lose this championship by 6 points. But we shall have to see. M1 LDT at this rate might even make his teammate's job of winning harder than it needs to be. Deep Cuts, meanwhile, has been passed by Crime for P2. Meanwhile, I want to have a look at this because Nick Chin has been sat behind Aaron Rains for what feels like laps now. Well, actually, I'm going to jump quickly back on board Benjamin Walrack, who has been passed by Nathaniel False-Rochelau. Seeing that he had some troubles there in the chicane. Daniel Scott then, meanwhile, now significantly behind Nathaniel. Once again, these long straights at Suzuka coming in to play quite nicely for the electric-powered cars. Although when they get to the chicane and S sections, they start to suffer somewhat, but it seems that they have the overall advantage with their pure straight-line pace at this track. Daniel Scott now right on the rear of Benjamin Walrack. He's making the move. And he's off. He spins and he's in the barrier. That is not good. He is stuck now in P10 still. He's going to have to climb up again. I want to quickly then have a look if Daniel finishes P10 then I believe the 6 points needed, Darkest would have to do something quite miraculous to win this race, as P3 won't cut it. I'm not even sure P2 will. I think he'd have to win, so Darkest at the moment will have to hope that his teammate doesn't take the place from him, and that Daniel Scott has another incident that will cause him to fall further down the order. Deep Cuts, meanwhile, still holding on very so slightly to Crime. I think Crime's uncomfortability in the car has caused him not to be able to take as much advantage of it as Thomas Jack, nor as Nathaniel False-Rochelau even has been able to. He just loses so much time in certain areas of this track that Deep is still within a second, just about, of him. An average across the lap. See, dropping to 0.4. Now the electric engine out of Dunlop will take the advantage. But you got Degner 1 and Degner 2. Crime is going to have to focus upon getting good runs through these corners. But like I said, Crime's not used to it and almost collects Deep as he slides all the way across the grass before Degner 2 even comes to him. The exit of Degner 1 leading to exactly what I said was going to happen, which is that his unfamiliarity with this car and uncomfortableness within it means he can use the top end speed as he will do here, and he will certainly make the pass done, maybe even before Spoon. No, he decides not to, I think, more than anything else. But he'll certainly make it down for 130. Oh, will he? Because, again, into the corners, he just doesn't have the same experience that enables the other electric engine cars to not suffer as much as he is, and to understand the weight of the engine and the effect that's going to have on the car. Barring incident, Prime will probably have him once again before the first turn. But then we get to the S section, and Prime may find himself struggling. Be right on board, we'll see this pace difference for what it is. See, Deep now is going to be able, through the turns, through the S's, to master. Prime's going to be able to block. He's going to have to try and block as much as he can. Deep is stuck behind the small PP car. I think Prime is just blocking for his life. Not illegally, just sitting in the track as Prime gets a bit squirrely, I think. Almost caused what might be considered an illegal block, but goes onto the grass. Don't think there was contact there. As again, Prime finds himself stuck behind the vibrant Peace T racing car. So we come to start lap 10. Thomas Jack crosses the line, 10 laps in. Sorry, we have done 10 laps. We're now on lap 11 of this race. M1LT meanwhile now right up the rear end once again of his teammate Darkius. Prime and Deep are just ahead of them on the exit of Spoon. Prime again without issue will probably have Deep soon enough. But once again we'll have to try and get a bit more mastery of that car before he can make the move stick and done. Daniel Scott now P10 right behind Sylvan Hubble. Again, this position is crucial. Daniel Scott cannot afford, as things stand, to lose any places, as that will threaten his position in the championship as the current net championship leader due to Robin Moe's disconnection. Prime has once again into the first turn, well before it, has taken deep cuts. We'll once again see if Deep can make a move before the end of this section. So come through the second S up to Dunlop. Deep is off the track. He puts a little bit too much throttle in it, trying to make the move stick, and loses the car. Meanwhile, Darkius now is going to possibly overtake Deep into Degner 1. Deep's going to try and fight it off as best he can, and that might lead to Milk getting a good exit. Good racing from both of them there. They cleanly make it through Degner 1. As we see them come up to the hairpin. Dark looks to the outside. He looks for the switchback. It's not there. It is front wing to gearbox. There's less than a second separating these three cars, but Deep has a slightly better car, I think, at the moment. Darkius currently outside of slipstream range, but M1LDT has slipstream on on Darkius, sorry. If you're unaware, slipstream range is around 0.4 seconds in Assetto Corsa. We don't know why, we're not happy about it, but it is. M1LDT not able to do anything with that addition. I don't know whether he is sitting just behind, hoping for that championship to come into play for his teammate. That is obviously always a possibility. Again, that means it's just down to Daniel Scott. Because if Darkius can make that move, he will gain another 2 points to his championship. And Darkius having already... Actually, no, sorry, Darkius has not served his drop week. And so I would still need to do the calculations. But I think, yes, Darkius would have another 2 points to his name. He should finish the race currently. As actually, sorry, he's made the overtake. It's lapping traffic. Lapping traffic has potentially interfered a little bit as one of the cars go off. And Deep's down to 5th. That means Darkius now up to P3, a position which carries with it 35 points to the driver who finishes P3. He will finish this race if he can finish in this position with 151. But as it stands, Daniel Scott will finish with 155, still taking that championship lead as Robin Moe is be stuck on that 140 that he started with. Deep, meanwhile, trying to fight back against M1 LDT. Deep Cuts at the moment sitting way down in 17th place with only 60 points to his name, having missed a couple of races where he was replaced by Jarmeet Smith. Come into the Casio Triangle. Deep is going to try and take Darkius. It is M1 LDT's not just responsibility but duty at this point as a teammate, I think, to harry Deep as much as he can, but I don't know whether that's going to be possible, as Darkius' best chance is to finish P3. The two small PP cars are well ahead and well off at the moment, but Daniel Scott at some point during the confusion, I think, with back markers has got up to P8. P8 carries 25 points. If Daniel has 25 points, I don't think there's any way in which Darkius can beat him, as there aren't enough points for him to make up, even if he finished P1. We'll have to hope, or Daniel will have to hope, that he can hold on to this P8 now, have no major incidents for the last 10 laps of this race now. But if he does, and if he finishes, I think below 12th, if not below 10th even, he will not be champion. As he's on the grass, but he keeps it together. He's now sitting right behind Thomas Jack, who has lapped him for position. The small PP car is going to come home to win this race, barring major incident, with a commanding lead of over a minute from his own teammate. Crime is losing time. I think it might just be a relative bug. I thought maybe he'd had a crash. But this man here, Darkius, still only 0.8 seconds to Deep behind him. Once again, his best hope is to finish P3 at the moment, and for Daniel Scott to be involved in some form of incident down the field, which would cause him to lose his championship that he currently provisionally holds. And once again, even with all this, but beyond the race itself, there is still inspection and scrutineering to come of these cars, some of which may or may not have illegal upgrades applied to them, and that could yet shape this championship after the end of the race, after the race itself has finished. Might even ask our race director to try and do something before this whole thing has finished. But we'll see if I need to. Deep Cuts now only 0.4 seconds behind Darkius. Coming up, we see the angry people looking the wrong way. We see the cars fly past through them. It is deep. He tries to make a move around the outside, but doesn't. Into the Casio triangle now. He is only 0.3 seconds behind Darkius. Darkius is going to have to fight him off. He's going to have to defend like the proverbial lion. Now down into turn 1. It's combustion engine versus combustion engine, and neither are particularly faster than each other. Seems to be in the corners where the PST car, or at least the driver, is having the most capability, which is curious considering that the light rear wing of the PST car has historically not been quite as dominant than the medium wing car that the Spectre is running with Darkius. Very clean Degner 1 and 2 from deep, a little bit squirrely on the exit of 2 actually. That's lost him a little bit of time. Meanwhile, Narrow Reigns, maybe a little bit of contact just as we joined in there with the 2 leftovers cars down in P12 and P13. These 2 cars certainly are not having the best time of it, and very likely or very certainly are the slowest cars on the grid at the moment. Deep Cuts meanwhile back within 0.3. He seems to have the advantage, I think, through the middle sector, but he slides. It's a drift. We're not in Tokyo, but we're close enough, and that allows N1 LDT to get through to P4. Nathaniel Foltz-Rochelau has had some sort of incident there as he slides back into P9. Daniel Scott, meanwhile, having been fighting with Benjamin Worak, still only in P8. Still enough to win this championship, but obviously you have to keep fighting now because with Nathaniel and Sylvain behind him, he doesn't have much time to let off the throttle and just calmly roll into a victory. As if he loses too much, then Darkius may very well jump him for the lead, as Deep Cuts trying now to fight back, take back that P4 position from M1LT. Daniel Scott down to P9. Nathaniel with the electric engine has powered past the Spinardi car. Now puts Daniel back to P9. Very close to the rear wing, however, on the exit of Spoon, but it won't be enough as the electric engine is going to power off down to 130R. Daniel's next best bet is going to be in the first turn and the S's, but Sylvain Hubble has also managed to get past him before 130R. And that adds another layer of complexity, as Nathaniel himself has also just got past Benjamin Morak again. The good news, at least for Daniel Scott, is that he has a 55-second gap back to Charlie in P11. And his current position should continue to secure him that P1 in championship finish. But that does remain to be seen. As Daniel is round, he avoids the barrier, but again, this is where that gap he has to Charlie behind is going to come into play. Then one on the team now right on the tail of the teammate once again. Teammate shouldn't overtake. The best chance for a championship win here is for Darkius to win this, or not to win this race, but at least to win this team battle as it stands. But we will see if Milk can resist the natural racing driver urge to take position. Meanwhile, the 2 Spinning Baguettes cars having a little scrap away at each other here. Sylvain Hubble makes the move, goes quite deep into the Cassia triangle, but stays with him. And Hubble is going to get, Walreck went deep into the triangle. And Sylvain gets ahead slightly, but that's allowing Daniel Scott to gain a little bit of time back on the spinning baguettes cars. And Paul Walreck, meanwhile, fighting back, a little toe into the grass there. These two scrapping away as they have done all seasons. Teammates that just love racing, even if it's with each other. Walreck drops off a little bit. Daniel Scott now has gained back up to 2 seconds behind. As we come now, lap 17.7 laps completed by our race leader. Let's have a quick look at him. Aaron Reigns and Nick Chenming on P12 and 13 are continuing to fight each other. But Thomas Jack having a very, very nice race here. He, by starting P1 and getting away well, completely avoided the complications caused to his teammate Prime when he got tangled up with Robin Moe. That incident certainly has had a massive effect, not just on this race and Tom's domination of it, but also on the championship as a whole, as Robin Moe has certainly now, even if he was to rejoin, lost this championship. And Daniel Scott or Darkius will come home to be crowned winner. At the moment, it's going to this man here, now 1.1 second behind Benjamin Morak, Daniel Scott. Now lap 19 out of 24. Oh, as Walreck goes deep into the Casio, he's going to give up the place the same way that Nathaniel earlier didn't in the same corner. Once again, Daniel could very well put in a ticket for that incident if he feels he was not given enough time back after the cutting of the track. And because the system that AC has by default is so dodgy, we don't use the track cuts system. But if someone was to do so, was to gain enough time from cutting the track, we would certainly post-race penalise it. Daniel Scott, though, now back up to P9. Sylvain Hubble now through the S's, through Dunlop. The electric engine weight coming into play for Nathaniel Foss-Rochelau, and Walreck right on his rear, but Daniel Scott right behind him. Adrian T3KN in the chat asking how to race. Well, if you mean how to race with us, there is a Discord link in the description of this live stream. Feel free to join there. We do races in ACC, races in AC, even some races in, I think, Automobilistas sometimes, in iRacing as well, and in Dirt Rally. So come join us, come enjoy it. We have a good community of all different stripes, all different skill levels, and we certainly enjoy our racing, as I'm sure Daniel Scott is right now, although he wishes he could be slightly further up the grid, fighting for that championship. And remember, this still has post-race scrutineering to go in. I have actually asked the race director if he can show some urgency on the post-race scrutineering so we can get an answer before this live stream is out as to who will be the champion. As if a car is caught having taken an illegal upgrade, they will be subjected not just to penalty of time in this race, but also to a points penalty of 15 points, which between Daniel right now and Darkius up in third place can mean the difference between victory in the championship or not. If Daniel takes his P8, he'll be one step closer to the security he needs. But Sylvain certainly showing he is no slouch, and Daniel perhaps still carrying some damage from events earlier in the race, particularly on the front wing. We shall have to see. Darkius, meanwhile, still only 4.4 seconds behind Crime and P2. Daniel I think the camera cut to the bridge shot just as Daniel got a little bit loose or had to avoid Sylvain Hubble. And I think he has lost a little bit of time there now, but he will gain a little bit back. It's side by side through the non-named corner, which really should have a name. I think maybe 300R. I feel like I've seen 300R somewhere, but I cannot remember for the life of me if it is. But now Daniel going to come on the exit of Spoon and try and gain some good time on Sylvain Hubble. Sylvain 0.1 seconds behind Nathaniel Fox-Rochelle, but the electric engine is going to absolutely power away from its combustion power counterpart. And through 130R they fly. It is once again amazing to see how these cars have come. Actually, Adrian, if you haven't seen this before, the unique thing about this particular series, I've said it many times over and over again, is that these drivers have been able to upgrade these cars over the course of 2 seasons of 6 races each. And it is amazing to see how these cars have developed from very low power, very unaerodynamically designed boxes of excrement to what they are now, absolutely flying through some of these corners that even some of the fastest cars in real-world racing and in sim racing struggle to take at the speeds at which they are, with the comfortability of which they are. Where Darkest up ahead has dropped the gap a little bit to Crime, now down to 3 seconds, 3.5. I think the electric engine coming into play on a straightaway somewhere. Sorry, Crime's actually just entered into first turn. Oh, there's a contact between Daniel and Nathaniel Fox-Rochelle. I'm not sure who was at fault of that, and once again the limitations of AC prevent me from having a replay function like ACC would give me. I anger at Kunos themselves. But Daniel Scott up to P7, but having potentially been the cause of that incident will remain to be seen, and Sylvain Hubble anyway is going to, well, looking like he's going to take it around the outside before Spoon. Daniel looks to fight back but thinks better of it. 0.4 seconds now the gap. Frenchman versus Scotsman, who will take it into 130R. Daniel has a good run. Let's have a ride on board. As you can see, the misaligned suspension, as that is someone off into the rubber now. I think that's one of the leftovers cars. It might be. It is. It's Nick Chin. Looks like he stalled the car. Maybe he's run out of fuel. I'm not sure what has happened there. But now his teammate's going to be gaining around the back of him. Maybe he's so far down he just thought he might wait. And up to first turn, Daniel Scott still right behind Sylvain Hubble. And that is Charlie, the lapped Velocita racing car, whose teammate Daniel Scott, they may feel, just crashed out. However, there's any funny business to play there. A little bit of revenge will have to be seen post-race if Daniel wants to, but Daniel has got past and is still fighting against Hubble. Now down into Degner 1 out of Dunlop. They are. Daniel lets Sylvain off a little bit into Degner 1. And that is Nathaniel doing exactly what we saw Crime do earlier, and having a nice little Tokyo drift through Degner 2. Well, he's through the grass on the inside of Degner 2. Now, Thomas Jack, 22.3 laps into this race. Daniel Scott, P8 at the moment, going to seemingly take the championship home. Once again, post-race scrutineering will come into play. But for now on track, his main focus is Sylvain Hubble, as it has been for several laps now. The main battle currently happening on this track. I think up ahead, Crime, despite being the replacement driver in a car with an almost entirely different philosophy as his own main Indian bus driver's car, but the small PP car has finally come to him, and he certainly has not has not seen any major incidents in the last few laps. Adrian asks, when will the next race be? The next race of this is yet to be determined, as this is actually the last race of our 2 series beta run. The beta will certainly be evaluated and reviewed, and a lot of different things to change and sort out, and it will return some point, but as of when, we're not entirely sure yet. Probably some point next year. Between then, however, we will run multiple other series and races. We always run interims, and there certainly will be some longer interims in this time around. We also run our Wednesday Race and Chill fun events. Thursday series will start up again some point as Daniel Scott takes P7 from Sylvain Hubble, extending that lead he currently has at the top of the championship. And Adrian, also I said, we also run a number of different races in a number of different series, and also recently have started running some, not actually running races, but some teams and some iRacing endurance events. So a lot of stuff, if you have a look around our Discord, to be getting on with in the off-season, as Sylvain Hubble on the inside of, I'm going to call it 300R because I swear I've seen that somewhere, takes Daniel Scott before Spoon once again. And he is going to stay ahead. Darkius now. I was saying that Crime hadn't had any major incident. However, Darkius now was just then within 0.5 seconds of Crime in P2. We're going to stay with this as Daniel Scott will finish the race after these cars. Anyway, it is the final lap. Thomas Jack is currently at the hairpin. So for these two, it will be one more lap, as it will be for Crime and Darkius. But Darkius now has fallen back once again to 2 seconds, but Crime has had an incident and may repeat, as Daniel gets a very, very nice launch on the outside of first turn and will take the lead once again into the S's. And we'll see if Sylvain Hubble can repeat his performance into Spoon as he has done on the last lap. But let's have a look. Thomas Jack, meanwhile, comes through 130R. This has been a commanding performance, so commanding we haven't even seen him. He is 1 minute 30 ahead of his teammate due to their issues, as one of the leftovers cars, Aaron Rain seemingly, has crashed on the last lap of theirs. But Thomas Jack crosses the line to take the race win. He will be your race winner for today. I think even with post-race penalties, I haven't seen him get involved in anything, and equally his lead has been so commanding, I'm not sure if they can make a change to this at this point. And the donuts happen at the end of the lap, and that is Crime. Crime has gone off. Where is this? This is at 300R, the corner I'm now calling 300R for certain. Crime has lost P2 and almost lost P3 to deep cuts. Darkius is going to be holding his breath for these next few moments, sorry, not even laps, as the power of the electric engine. He has lost P3, sorry, to deep cuts. He is now P4 Crime with the power of the electric engine. Will it be enough to get his P2 back before the end of this race? I don't know. Oh, Crime slides over eager through 130R, perhaps. And that is going to be it. Darkius will take P2, Daniel Scott P7, and that is certainly going to make a very interesting post-race. Deep Cuts, meanwhile, takes P3. What I thought for the last half of this race is going to be a definite small PP1-2 finish in one singular lap has become a P2 Darkius and a P3 Deep Cuts. As we see the smoke burning on the racetrack and the particle effects burning up my PC at the same time. Jacob the Snack is going to be the last driver to cross the line, and that's quite annoying because he's the one I sent the message to about doing things immediately post-race. But Jacob crosses the line to take P6. Robin Moe has disconnected and will have lost the championship either way because of it. At the moment, provisionally, I believe Daniel Scott will take the championship lead, and Darkius will take, I think, P2 in the championship as well as P2 in this race. Yet I will, and I have asked the race director to perform the scrutineering on Daniel Scott and Darkius' car, if it is to be done, as soon as possible. Because that has been quite something. I'm going to call in your top 3. However, I might do it in a slightly different order if I do get a response from Jaker, our race director. I'm going to call him in for an interview, and whilst I wait, I'm also going to do some mathematics for this championship battle. Genuinely, after that last lap, I have to take a breath. That was an extraordinary finish. I think I jinxed it when I said that Crime had not had a major incident and had gotten used to the car, and then immediately things started kicking off again. Alright, I'm going to have a quick look then at this finishing order. Thomas Jack is in the waiting room, but I'm just going to wait a few seconds. Bear with me. I mean, for at least for certain, it will be a Spinardi Constructors' Championship win. Just gonna find a position to do an interview, to do our interviews from. What looks nicest, let's have a weird little Ferris wheel picture. Why not? Alright, I am going to call in first, I think, Deep Cuts, your P3 sitter. Hello, Deep.
Hello.
I don't think you were expecting to be here.
No, not really.
How was that?
It was good. Oh, sorry, it was good. Yeah. I was probably one of the best AC League races I've ever had here. That was, yeah, really lots of fun. I was just talking with the lads in the waiting room before you dragged me in here, but Dark was very worried. Like, he overtook me because I made that mistake, and then he was like, "Oh, I got him," and then within like 2 seconds was like, "Wait a minute, hold on, I don't have it." I got to actually work for this. So the last half of the race, I was slightly worried about engine wear, but last half of the race, I just decided to every lap was a push lap, and Crime was in the chat too, and heard he had to go into limp mode, so it was just very like high pressure. Like, oh, I could get this if I don't mess up again, because I made quite a few mistakes in that race.
You weren't the only one for certain.
I know.
I feel bad. I feel bad I don't get to speak to Crime, because he actually had. He obviously driving a very different car to what he's used to. He's used to the combustion engines that you have, and then suddenly he's thrust into a small PP, high weight, high torque electric engine powered car. And
yeah,
I saw that he was making quite a lot of mistakes early on due to that.
Yeah.
And then I thought he had. I actually even said on stream that he had it figured out, and then suddenly things started kicking off again as soon as I said it.
Yeah.
And you find yourself P3.
Yeah, it was weird just running in P2. Obviously, that first lap incident was quite crazy, and managed to just I guess, luck out, being able to sneak up the inside of the uphill left-hander. So after that, it was basically like, all right, let's try and settle into a rhythm as soon as possible. But this car feels completely different on every single lap. So um, yeah, definitely a challenge. I've got my cardio in for today. That's for sure.
Well, congratulations to you. I'm trying to hold off speaking to Dart because I'm trying to wait until the tech inspection is done for Daniel
Yeah,
Scott.
I know.
Oh no, Daniel's not been called in for a tech inspection, so we can officially
Okay.
say Daniel
I will
is
say,
the championship winner.
well, congrats to Dan. And I will say, if Spectre do not pass tech inspection, that would mean a double podium for. Uh, oh no, because I was going to say that could have been a double podium for Peace T.
It could have been, but
I
Jacob would need to
I think,
be 3 places up.
yeah. Well, Darkiest Crime.
Well,
Oh,
two
Milt was
places
there
up.
too. I forgot. I
Yes.
forgot about Milt because yeah. Anyway, thank you. Appreciate it. That was I'm sure that's a cracking stream to watch back.
It
So
was
I
a
can't
very
wait for
nice
that
stream,
later.
especially the ending.
Yeah, cool. I was just actually trying to look at the replay to see if there was contact between Crime and I, but I don't think there was.
I didn't quite say it. I was watching. I think I was watching Darkies at the time because I was
Yeah,
focusing on him for the championship, but I
yeah.
don't think there would have been.
Anyway, congrats to Daniel and thank you for a great season.
Right, thank you for joining me, and
All right,
congratulations
mate.
on your P3.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye.
Right then, I'm then going to go in order as I can now, and call in our P2 sitter in the standings or in the race, and our current P2 sitter. I mean, again, he is going to be scrutinised, so we shall see. But our P2 sitter in the drivers' championship. Hello, Darkius.
Hello, hello.
Congratulations, P2 and P2.
Oh,
Yes.
you mean overall for the championship?
Barring anything coming out of the inspection process. Which,
Well,
can you tell me now? Do you have a chance?
I have a chance, but it's
Ooh.
definitely not decided yet because also penalties might come into play.
Penalties
Yeah.
may indeed
well.
come into play. Yes, but
So,
barring
yeah.
anything else, you are provisionally, due to Robin's disconnection, P2 in the drivers' championship with
Oh, he
153
disconnected.
points. He retired after that first lap incident.
Wow, and who is P1 then?
Daniel. Daniel has taken P1. It was you. I don't.
Incredible.
It's amazing because I spent the last 45 minutes purely doing maths in my head and on my spreadsheet to work out exactly what was going to be needed for Daniel to win or for you to win. Because
Yeah,
at some
yeah.
point you were P3 and he was P10, and that put you within like 6 points of each other.
Wow. Yeah, I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
regardless, it was an amazing race. Regardless of the final result and the championship result, this race was by far the best of the season.
How was
Um,
it? How was it for you? And also that last lap, that last minute mistake. I said in the chat, I said to the stream, I said that Crime had some early issues with the car, getting used to obviously a very different car to what he has driven the rest of this season.
Yeah.
And then that last lap, it all came back. And you
Yeah,
took it too.
I mean, first of all, thanks to my teammate Milt, who basically acted as rear guard for the whole race. Sadly, his car was crippled after the initial lap one incident, and even so, he was able to stick to me. And not only that, he defended like a lion against all of the people who tried to catch up to us, mainly deep cuts. So, yeah, thanks to him. But yeah, for us, I mean, for myself, the race was amazing. We obviously had this incident at the first lap, which brought us back to P13, I think. And then we, as a pair, we basically went back up the grids all the way until the last few laps. Had a really great battle with deep cuts. Well, Milt had a battle with deep cuts. For me, it was relatively short-lasted. And then, yeah, catching Crime on the last lap was awesome. I think the car performance was a lot closer this race. Obviously, the electric cars are still interesting, let's say that. But I think the car performance really brought it together this race.
I think this race was surprisingly balanced because the electric cars certainly had the advantage, and I was saying this constantly, from basically the exit of the hairpin all the way through to turn one. The electric cars had the advantage, but there were so many little corners in there that meant they couldn't just run away with it. And you get to the S's and the Degners and places like that, And Spoon as well, actually, to be fair.
Yes.
People were just able to come back on them.
Yeah, I mean, if we were thinking as long as you were ahead of the car that has the faster top speeds and acceleration in sector 1, come at the beginning of the lap, you were most likely going to keep that position all the way around the lap because you had the time to get a gap in the first sector, and then that would kind of get smaller and smaller up until the end of the lap, obviously, where they catch up. But if you're out of the slipstream, or if they're out of the slipstream in that second and last sector, there's a few tenths there that they're not gaining, and I think that's what really helped in this race, at least for me, to try and manage the curves to keep ourselves ahead in sector 1, and then yeah, trying to keep the advantage the whole lap.
Well, no, you've done very well to do so, and you've repeated your teammates' performance of last season and taken P2 in the drivers.
That's incredible.
Once again, unexpected, I'm sure, but welcome.
Yeah, definitely unexpected because I definitely felt like I didn't have a particularly good season. I think I definitely got on this position primarily because Robin had so many troubles, and I participated in all races, bar 1, I think.
You
But that was
have a
drop
you have a drop week allowance, so that means you have been in every race.
Yeah. Yeah, but I could have definitely used that drop week on another bad result that I had this season. But yeah, so yeah, good season. Definitely great fun. Glad that the fans were banned for the last race because I think it made for a really great race.
I think there might have been a few minutes where Daniel was hoping they weren't, but other than that,
I think he might still take it anyway. So yeah,
I'm sure he
congratulations to him.
right. Thank you very much, and congratulations again on both P2s.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Right, that was your P2 sitter and your P2 sitter, Mr. Darkius. Let's then speak, before we speak to Daniel Scott, who I have called in for an interview, Mr. Thomas Jack. Hello, Tom.
Hello, hello.
Oh, God. You put that on just for this, did you?
What? This is my microphone.
You're out of the car now. Stop. This isn't like Bioshock.
I'm in the car. Hello.
Congratulations on your P1, Tom.
Thank you.
We are not going to be able to get through this interview if you're doing it with that filter on the entire time.
We'll be fine.
I didn't see you at all, because once again you had a very dominant performance, taking that P1. Your teammate Crime, so I want to talk about, I've spoken about Crime a few times, and obviously him having lost the podium on the last lap means that I'm not going to get to speak to him. Do you know what was happening there? Was he just not used to the car, having been used to the combustion engine and the different weight and philosophies of your two cars?
I just think he's a loser.
Very kind words, very kind words.
No, it's a difficult car. It was funny because he sort of hopped in because I didn't have a teammate, so he sort of hopped in really quick, no practice. And at some point he told me, he was like, I joined your team as a substitute, expecting to get an easy win out of this, and you put me in a shit box like this. And it's quite a handful to drive. Let's put it that way.
Well, for the shitbox like this, he said that you won the race by at least a minute and I think 50 seconds after
It's a fast
that
shitbox.
incident. It certainly is. Is there anything you particularly want to note from that race? Anything that particularly came up or happened? Any back marker troubles?
Well, there was one trouble, fully self caused. You probably didn't notice this, but lap 2 or lap 3, 130R was flat until then.
Oh.
It wasn't on that lap. I'm pretty sure I hit the wall at the speed of light, and somehow got no steering damage. And I had actually, I think I spanned a total of like 4 or 5 times during that race, because we ran out of rear tires. But otherwise, it was fast. It was fast on the straights. That's where it counts.
Well, yeah, I guess there's nothing really else to say except for congratulations. Obviously, Daniel Scott, you may know, has taken P1 in the championship.
Yes, congratulations to him.
tighter than we thought he might, and Darkies took P2.
Congratulations to both of them.
Do you know what happened to Robin Moe? He told me he had suspension damage and just didn't want to repair it.
All I saw was lap 1 exiting the S's. I was exiting the S's expecting to have a rear mirror filled with Mo, and it ended up being, I think, 3 or 4 cars Beyblading into the grass. Apparently steering damage, and we had a quite long race yesterday, and he also had 2 races yesterday, so I'm sure he was quite tired and
Yes,
ready to get back to work tomorrow.
6 hours Bathurst, which you won, so congratulations on that as well.
Thank you.
Double win, 2 days, 2 wins. What else do you need?
Too easy.
Also, not to mention, let's remind everyone, 2 weeks ago, you also won here.
Did I?
RP Series, Suzuka,
Oh yeah, I did. Oh, Suzuka is a good track for me.
during which you won your RP Series championship, so you may have lost
Oh,
this
yeah,
one, but you've won the race once again. So congratulations.
I won in my
to you.
heart.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.
And that was Tom speaking to us through his weird indie horror game cassette recording thing on his microphone, which isn't like a filter he downloaded, it just came by default. And then Tom speaking to us through his normal voice as well in the middle. So, I think it's time that we spoke to our championship winner, provisional championship winner, but I don't think there is any amount of penalty at this point which could cause him to lose it. Mr. Daniel Scott.
Hello.
Daniel. Congratulations. You are provisionally championship winner.
I think I am championship winner. I think we've looked at it and that I would need to finish 11th in order not to be the winner.
And 11th is 3 laps down, so you'd have to do something pretty severe to...
Exactly. So I think I do have it. There is a ticket being written about me as we speak, but I think that won't result in a penalty at all. So it should be good. I am very, very happy.
I can actually check. Give me a second. Because P10 would be 21 points.
It's P11 to make it
Yeah,
equal
but
points.
P10 is the only place you can be put down to, is what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Because P11 you're not going to get put down to.
Exactly.
No,
So
you would
I would
still
win.
win it if you. Oh, I'll tell you what. I kind of want you to get penalised down to P10. Because
Oh.
if you do that, you would win by 2 points.
Well, someone
is-
won't be fucking arguing my ticket.
Well, no, you realise that if you won by 2 points, you would replicate the exact situation that happened to Milt last season, but with his teammate.
Oh, that is quite funny, actually. Actually, I agree. I would like that. I've just seen the ticket Nathaniel posted, and he's not posted it for me. It was a different incident. So
Oh well, that's 27 points for you then, rather than 21.
yes, I am very
Right.
happy. The race was wonderful. Me and Sylvain and Hubble and Nate had a wonderful battle together. And yeah, it was just a really, really good, good race.
I have to ask you, like, so race start. Obviously, I'm watching the fight that's going on between Robin, Crime, and the Spectre drivers.
Yes.
Crime and Robin then come together. Massive damage for Robin. Robin retires. The 2 Spectre drivers seemingly, I mean, I didn't actually see what happened to them, seemingly saw the crash and thought, I want to go there. They don't join in. And I'm just waiting for Daniel Scott to take full advantage of it, and you're nowhere to be seen.
That's because I spun all by myself at T1, and my teammate has quite gleefully informed me that I think I've done something like that every race this season except for Hungary. Every
Right.
race has been a recovery drive. But, I've been consistent, and I've been here, and
You
that's
have?
why I'm champion.
I hope your teammate told you that before Dunlop. I hope he said that to you and then immediately binned it.
No, he told me after,
I
unfortunately.
see.
But yes, he had steering damage. I actually had massive steering damage for about half the race. Going up after Spoon up straight, my hands hurt actually because the wheel was going mad up that straight every single lap.
Ooh.
It was a tough race, really, really tough race. But I really
Certainly.
also enjoyed it.
It was certainly a good fight. I spent most of the race actually watching you fighting Hubble and Walrack and Nathaniel. So you
The
certainly
problem
had-
with it was Nathaniel was much quicker than us in the straights, but then he'd crawl through the corners. So even if I had a spin or a moment, I would catch up with him the next lap because he was so slow through those corners. So every lap we were just fighting, and then on the last lap I managed to get Sylvain on the start finish straight, and I was able to get the gap at that point.
You call that a problem, I call it entertainment. But
I loved it. It
it
was
was
great.
certainly good to watch, and
And-
your patience and performance across this whole season has certainly been paid off.
Yes, I think so. I think I've persevered when I haven't had the greatest results and the consistency's shown.
So this,
Which I'm
this
happy
is
with.
your, this is your first full championship win.
Yes, my first proper title.
After
I got.
your silver win in RP series this season.
I am a
Just
triple champion this season.
Triple.
I am the constructors,
Oh,
the
yes,
driver,
yes.
and the driver.
Okay, so
And I think
congratulations
that
on the
counts.
constructors. I kind of ignored that because it was certainly
It's a
one
team
because...
event. It should be.
Oh,
And also,
yeah,
it was
yeah,
one.
but it was
because-
also one
yeah.
because I didn't realize until quality started that Crime wasn't driving the Indian bus driver's car.
Yes, if they had been there, it would have been a much closer fight. But it's just didn't pan out that way. It was still a very good season though, and I'd like to thank Jaker here for the work he's done and Crime because this has been the best thing I've ever done in sim racing by far. Not even close.
Definitely join you in that. Jake has done a fantastic job, our race director. Also agreed to do the scrutineering as soon as the race was done, just to work out who had won the championship.
Yes, I mentioned that in qualifying what's going to work out with the championship because I foresaw something like this happening. Although I thought it was Robin that would be getting checked. Because I'll make a confession here. Actually, I was put in charge of getting the upgrades this race, so I put in an illegal upgrade, hoping that if I came fourth, it would cause Robin to get a 15-point penalty.
I remember you saying that before the race.
And, it didn't work
Very
out that way.
sneaky of you. But it almost could have been. It could have backfired. It could have really backfired on you just then.
I was praying that number 7 didn't come up, and it almost did twice.
I think it was around halfway through the race that I messaged Jake saying, "Can you please do Darkius and Daniel's inspection as soon as the race is finished, just so I can talk about it."
It's
Luckily,
been
you didn't
really
come
good.
up in the inspection sheet, and therefore,
No, I did not.
and all cars have passed inspection as it seems.
Oh,
so
really?
Darkius definitely finishes P2.
Okay, so Spectre were up there as well.
Spectre were up because they finished on the podium.
Yeah, so they were up in the championship. I mean, the standings. So they did well this season as well. They were very close.
Yes, Spectre are now P2. Spectre have
Yes.
finished P2 because of Indian bus drivers, and I'm not even including Milt's result there. That's purely on Darkius. With Darkius only, it's 282. With Milt, it'll be 200 or 300 something.
Yeah,
So-
it's 313 or something.
Yes, I haven't quite calculated the entire thing yet. I only
Yes.
did you and Dark because they were the only two that mattered. You should have seen it. I was going through the whole race just with a spreadsheet, changing it depending
Trying
on
to
where
work
you
it
were
out.
at a particular time.
That's brilliant. Because I kept getting crashes and spins and going backwards, so you must have been quite busy.
It was because there was a point. No, it was when you were P10 and Darkius was P3, and I'm like, this is a 6-point gap. If Daniel does anything here, it could be the end of it. And then then the 15-point scrutineering comes in, and then all that comes in. It was actually.
It was a very
Robin's
close. It turned out.
retirement made this a closer race than I thought it was going to be.
It ended up being much closer than we thought, which I will argue when we go down to talk to the guys that it was very close this season.
It was very close in the end. It certainly was. And Spectre again coming back, second season, finishing P2, having a driver second in the championship. Certainly, Darky said he was surprised because he felt that the season hadn't been as good for him, which, to be fair, compared to season 1, where they were leading for a good portion of it, it certainly wasn't. But managed to
I think
hold
the
out 2
concept
seasons.
worked very well. I think there was a couple of custom upgrades that maybe skewed things a little bit, but I think overall it's worked exactly like it should have. The people that put in the effort and the time with the upgrades, they ended up coming forward and doing better. And that's Spectre, Indian bus drivers, Bernardi.
Well, I think
That's my
all that's
opinion.
left to say is congratulations on the P1. I would
Thank
say
you very much.
Congratulations on the P7, but that feels a bit weird.
No
And yes, thank you for participating. And
problem at
winning.
all. Thank you for commentating, and thank my teammate, and thank Jaker and Greg.
Yep. Thank you very much, Daniel. I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Right, that was your championship winner, Mr. Daniel Scott, finishing P7 in this race and winning the championship at the moment, barring any changes due to tickets and post-race penalties. He should certainly win the championship. As I say, to lose it, he would have to finish 3 laps behind, which I think, no matter what he's done in this race, and this is ridiculously severe. He will certainly not be penalised that much. And at the moment winning the championship with 161 points, Sedakius' 153. We'll have to see. Actually, I'm going to have a quick look before I sign off. Crime finished 4th, which entitles him to 33 points, which take him to 132 points, which means that Crime has finished P4. As we have said, I believe M1 LDT in 5th will also have jumped Ivan Baratz to take 5th. Yeah, M1 LDT, who is currently 6th, but that will all be worked out post-race once we have full final standings. But that is it then. That means for certain Daniel Scott is P1 in the championship, Darkiest P2, and barring major penalty for Darkiest, which I don't think will come, Robin Moe P3 with 140 points, having retired from this, the last race of the season. But before I leave you, there is no RP Series endurance RP Series promotion, as RP Series finished 2 weeks ago. Thomas Jack, the winner of this race, as I said, having won that race when. However, we do have RP Endurance promo next weekend, 4 hours of Zolder. GT3 only racing with solo drivers or teams of 2. There'll be live stewarding, and there will be a live stream on this YouTube channel. That is Saturday, September 16th. Practice starts at 4 PM. British Standard Time, British Summer Time even, which will then have a half an hour practice, a half an hour quali, and a 4-hour race session to go with it. I believe as well after this there will be some special inter-series events happening at Racing Pals, including a Nürburgring hot lap session in which you can try out the latest version of these Project A cars you have seen today around the famous Nordschleife track, just for a bit of fun. And I think even last race's fan cars may even be included in that particular session. So join us for that if you want to perhaps give some of these terrible horror boxes a try around the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Other than that, there are other series that we run at Racing Pals throughout even our off-seasons, such as our Wednesday Race and Chill sessions, each week of which a driver in the session gets to choose a car and track combination for the next week. And we continue on with that. This week coming, it has been chosen by our third place championship winner, Mr. Robin Moe, and he has chosen something from the 80s at Old Zolder, as I understand it. Quite fitting, considering we use modern Zolder next weekend. On Saturdays, we also have our US Race and Chill, with a very similar format that we are just about getting off the ground, having only recently been started up. Thursday series as well, our unstewarded fun series of half an hour odd races in Assetto Corsa, will start up again shortly. It will be something to do with LMP2s. I just need to get around to actually finally doing them now that the iRacing 24-hour series has ended. But keep an eye on our Discord channel, our Discord servers and channels, to see what is coming up in the future at Racing Pals, and Project A, in whatever form it shall take after this beta season, now that this beta season has concluded, will return at some point soon, as will our ACC RP series. And there will probably be some interim leagues to go along with it. But again, keep an eye out, stay tuned, and I thank you for watching not just this race, but also the entire 2 seasons that I have been very glad to commentate of Project Ameliorate. I thank you again, and good night.